1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors. Welcome to the show. I am Precious D.
And I am Honey Bee. Welcome back to the show, everyone.
We are a couple of friends that are making our way through the history of kaiju movies, and we are up to 1972. Honeybee, I just stumbled across this one when I was reading up on a different one. I'd never heard of it before.
So when I was looking for this movie, I couldn't remember what platform you said it was streaming on, and I looked on YouTube so I'd like to see if it was there, and the first video that popped up was the dumbest of all kaiju movies, Daigoro versus Goliath, and that video was from about 5 years ago. It had like 21,000 views, so it was like, a pretty well-known channel. I think it was called Corrupt Nostalgia or something like that. Nostalgia Corruption or something like that on YouTube. So I saved it. I didn't watch the video until after I watched the movie. But that was pretty much all I knew before going into the movie was that the first video on YouTube was the dumbest of all kaiju movies.
It's pretty dumb. It's a Toho Tsuburaya co-production directed by Toshiro Ajima, and it stars Shinsuke Minami as Goro Kizawa. There's like 3 Goros in this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's Daigoro, and then there's Hachigoro, and, well, this says Kizawa Goro, but I don't think that's what they called him in the subtitles. Kazuya Kozaka as Saito, Hachiro Musumi as Goro Hachi, Akiji Kobayashi as Hitoshi Suzuki, and Hiroshi Inazuka as Oji-san. And there's more people than that in here, but that's all that's listed on Wikipedia. That's all I can be bothered with. There's a bunch of kids with names that we never learn.
Yeah, this definitely has the kid feeling, kind of Gamera influence. Like Toho's response for the kitty, I don't know, it just seems very made for children. This one, like the most that we've seen so far. Like this is the one that we've seen that's just incredibly childlike or made for children, I feel like.
It reminded me of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang a little bit.
Oh my gosh, same! I literally have that as a note. I was like, I have it as a note. It was like, there's, if Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and, what did I say? And some other movie made a baby in the back of a bowling alley, it'd be this movie. I can't remember what the other movie is, but I'll get to that note.
If you want to watch this, it's hard to find, but you might find it archived on the internet by some organization somewhere, which is where we found it. And it starts off with an invention competition television show, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is trying to win money with his bicycle airplane so that he can use the money.
Plane.
Yeah. He can use the money to feed Daigoro. So Daigoro is a kaiju who is sort of hippopotamus based, but with disturbingly human hands.
And the cutest whiskers. Yes. I love his little whiskers and his little horns. They're so cute.
It's a while before we find out exactly what's going on, but the backstory that is eventually revealed is that Daigoro's mother rampaged through a city and got killed by the military. And then they were like, oh, there's a baby here.
Does that make this movie's death count one, the mother that we never see die.
I think so. I think so
too.
Do we
I
not
think
see her
that's the
die on
only,
screen?
Death. No.
So
No on-screen deaths.
they feel guilty, and they get a guy who, I can't want to call him a zookeeper, but he just said he had experience with goats, raising goats and sheep or something like that. They get a guy who has minimal experience raising animals and tell him, hey, take care of this kaiju. And it's a little unclear whether there's any government funding for this. It kind of seems like there is, but it's drying up. And so they're trying to do some private fundraising to feed. And they're very concerned about him not getting smaller. I don't know why. I guess kaiju are just naturally big. They want to be able to feed him so he can keep growing. I'm like, that seems like a mistake. You just feed him the minimum he needs to survive, but not actively be trying to get him to get bigger. He also has his own outdoor toilet, his giant-sized
giant outhouse.
Yeah. It says WC on it, which is a British thing that I guess bleeds over into Japan. It means water closet. It stands for water closet. It's not It's not an abbreviation we use over here. But they felt the need to write on his giant porta potty that only he would use, WC. So I guess if any other wandering kaiju, I mean, that's for our benefit. That's so we know it's his toilet.
Totally.
Oh my gosh. So a lot of this movie is concerned with the fundraising and the inventions. And at one point, the government wants to feed him something that'll force him to get smaller. And there's like 3 different people or groups of people that are concerned with Daigoro, but I'm not sure how they're all connected at all.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to stay focused in this movie. I kept getting very distracted, and I feel like it's just because it's so, like, even the music is like, do, 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 da, da, la, 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 la. Like, it's just very, like, even there's like a whole fucking sing-along part where
yeah, two of them, I think.
Times. Yeah, several times. I think there's like 2 or 3. And so, yeah, I would be watching and stuff, but I would just like get very distracted. It was hard to stay just so engaged that I knew like everything that was happening, like with the different groups and the people and the kids and all the things. I would like come back in and be like, what the hell is happening now?
So there's the guy who's actually responsible for feeding Daigoro. I think that's Saito.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the inventor who has some nieces and nephews and some random white kid that hang around who is trying to raise money. But it's not clear why they care, other than they just, care about this kaiju. But it's not clear why it's their responsibility. But they're trying to raise money. And then there's this other guy, this drunk, who just sort of stumbles into the situation.
Is this Mr. Kuma? Or...
Yeah, Kumagoro. That's what it is.
Kumagoro.
I think that's who they've listed as Kazawa Goro, but it's Kumagoro. Goro, by the way, is a name that means 5th son.
Oh.
But like Ichiro means first son.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure why there's all of these Goros in this movie.
Maybe they're all 5th sons.
I guess so. And so Daigoro would be giant 5th son or great 5th man or something like that. Mm-hmm. There's a famous character in another series of movies, Lone Wolf and Cub, who's named Daigoro. But I don't know. I don't know why they chose this name for this kaiju, is my point. It might just be equivalent to just naming him Bob or Dave or something. It might just be... English names have meanings, but we don't necessarily know or care what they are. We just name the dog
just do it.
Michael or whatever.
Yeah, my mom's dog's name is Steve, so I totally get it.
So it might be equivalent to just naming the kaiju Steve.
Yeah.
So there, at one point, somebody ends up in the hospital because of one of the experiments or something. And what did you say his name was?
Kuma, Mr.
Kuma Goro comes into the hospital. Oh yeah, it's the inventor whose niece is very embarrassed by him. She's always going on these, she calls them wedding interviews. I don't know if that just means a date.
Maybe.
But they translate it as a wedding interview.
That's
which I suppose a date is in some ways a wedding interview.
I guess in some ways, depending on who you are and how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, it might be specific matchmaking arrangements that she's set up. But she's very embarrassed by all the nonsense that her inventor uncle is always doing. But he's in the hospital because he got hurt with the bike thing. And this guy comes in to visit somebody else. But because of the bandages covering somebody's face, he mistakes. He's at the wrong bed. And he starts talking to the niece like he knows her. And she's like, what are you talking about? Oh, don't you remember? Blah, blah, blah. And he's just making a general ass of himself. And then finally from the...
shakes the shit out of this guy.
Yes. He's like, oh, you need to move your arms and legs and get the blood flowing. And this guy's bandaged all over his body. And then finally a guy from the other bed speaks up and says, Goro, is that you? I'm over here. And he's like, oh, so sorry. He gets very polite and very formal. But this is what brings him into the whole thing, because he finds out that they're trying to raise money to feed Daigoro and decides that he's going to give up drinking and use the money he saves from drinking to feed the kaiju, which must mean that he drinks a lot.
I feel like this guy is like the comic relief, but kind of in a movie that doesn't really necessarily need comic relief.
Yeah, it's not that serious to begin with.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like I think he's funny, but also kind of it just wasn't necessary, I feel like. Do you know what I mean?
I'm curious. I didn't see anything about him. I don't know if he's a famous comedian, if he's a draw, you know. Like when I was a kid, we used to go see a lot of Don Knotts and Tim Conway movies with like the two of them teaming up. And that was they were Disney movies.
Aw.
And that would be a draw, you know, like, Don Knotts and Tim Conway are this is going to be funny. So I'm wondering if this guy has some kind of level of name recognition or if he's just some doofus. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about him. So at some point the government decides, I didn't make any notes, and this Wikipedia summary is very bare bones.
I have a very random question. Speaking of Wikipedia, how come we don't use Wikizilla?
Sometimes I use that for the kill counts.
Oh, okay.
I
was like Googling something and it came up and I was like, oh, what is this? Oh, like, why don't we use this?
A lot of times it's just the same information.
Oh, okay.
Because you're allowed to freely copy and paste Wikipedia as long as you credit it. There was one time when I found a better description of a movie on Wikizilla. Folks, I'm a little under the weather.
Aw, poor Precious. Everyone send your healing loves.
I took a test and it's not the COVID. It's not the Rona.
I just took a corona test. Turns out I'm 100% still sick. But it's not COVID. So we're good. It's just a good old fashioned dumb cold.
No. But this means I watched 3 movies the other day and didn't take very many notes on any of them. So that's all I could do to just get through them. So we'll see how this turns out.
You poor nugget.
This is supposed to be my vacation. We're recording a bit ahead of time, folks, but we're recording this on Christmas Vacation, and this has just turned into a shitty vacation.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, it gets too expensive to feed Daigoro, so they try to use him. They try to feed him something that'll make him get smaller. But meanwhile, a meteor crashes, and a monster comes out of it. It starts tearing shit up.
And she is fierce, baby. All that hair.
Did this one have the hair? I thought it was his mother that had the hair.
Oh, okay, maybe it was.
Yeah, the flashback. You're thinking of the flashback. In the flashback,
Yeah, it has been a while
Daigoro's
since I
mother.
watched this.
Yeah, Daigoro's mother has a lot of hair, which we don't see too many kaiju with hair, but I guess they wanted us to know that it was a lady kaiju. They gave her a lot of hair, long hair. No, Goliath, that they just randomly decide to call Goliath, has a horn that shoots lightning.
Lightning horn.
Yeah, so they have a little bit of a fight, and Daigoro goes down pretty quickly from the lightning horn, and then they decide, oh, we need to up the budget and feed him and get him strong so he can go fight this other kaiju for us. We killed his mother. We're barely keeping him alive with just the minimum of food. We're cutting that budget, but now that there's another kaiju, we're going to feed him and make him go fight for us.
But before this, isn't it before this that they decide that they have to shrink Daigoro?
Yeah. They have some chemical they're going to put in his food that's going to make him shrink. They don't explain how that's going to work.
It just feels a little bit silly to even be talking about like this film, because I feel like maybe if I was like 6 or like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 or 8 or something in 1972, then I would probably love this film. But watching it now, it's just kind of just so silly, you know? It kind of reminds me of something like, do you remember those movies? I want to say it was like maybe in the late 90s or early 2000s where it was like Ernest, Scared Stupid, or Ernest B World, and it was like a goofy dude just doing like goofy shit.
Yeah, Jim Varney as Ernest P. Worrell. Yes, I'm very well acquainted with Mr. Varney's oeuvre.
Nice. Well, I watched those when I was a kid, and that's just kind of like, I could imagine watching those now and being like, oh God, what is this? You know, like this is so goofy and just, but watching it then and just loving it so much. So I kind of feel like this movie is sort of like that. Like it's one of those movies where you, not like it's like that movie, but it's just one of those movies where you have to enjoy it for the time, like in the time. Otherwise it just feels silly to like try to make this movie make sense.
Right. Yeah, it's not great. So eventually there's a God, I don't even know. They train him up. They try to teach him some moves, I think.
Yeah, they try to teach him some kung fu.
Yeah, he seems to totally understand English.
Yeah. Oh, you know what we forgot to talk about, though, is the little tiny baby Daigoro with his scary, wrinkly-ass eyelids.
Oh, yeah. The baby version.
He looked like oh, God. I feel like Daigoro kind of, and I saw this, like, comment, too, is like, Daigoro kind of makes Manila a little bit cooler. Just a little bit.
Daigoro with his hippo look is kind of cute, except for his disturbing hands. But the baby version was just unpleasant.
Yeah, he is very cute, but the baby version is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, he definitely.
Yeah, so he learned some. Yeah, he really, really did. It was awkward. My dog also was very concerned with the Daigoro's like squeaks in this movie. Like every time like it would like squeak, my dog would be like, "What?" Like looking like, "What the hell is that? Where is it? Where is the squeak? I want it."
Oh man. So yeah, they give him some pointers and teach him some moves so that he can beat the monster when they invariably fight again, which they do. And he also learns how to use a fire breath, because of course he does. And eventually they do have a fight, and he wins. Daigoro wins. And then goes into his bathroom and takes a victory dump after the fight.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Oh gosh, the fight is so derpy too. Like Daigoro's like stomp, 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 and then Goliath is like derp, and Daigoro's like derpy, derp, derp, and it's just like the goofiest, silliest. The music gets like super intense. I mean, and then like it's just like silly, just silliness. He's just squeak, 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 mix, squeakin'. They're very squeaky. They're not even roary, like, you know, Godzilla or Kong or Anguirus. Like, they all have kind of roars. Nope, not these guys. They're just very squeaky. Very, very, very squeaky. But, you know, I feel like this movie is one of those movies where... I do this a lot, where I'll just put on a cartoon in the background, you know, and do something else. And I feel like if this is one of those movies, like, where I could just put it on in the background and watch it and enjoy it, as long as there were no subtitles or no English whatsoever. Like, if it's just Japanese and I cannot understand, like, anything that's being said, and I'm just watching the movie in Japanese, like, I feel like it's really cool to just have on, like, things going on. It's funny, like, it's like, but with the English subtitles, nah.
It's, it sounds like maybe the kind of thing that should be playing in a club. Have you ever been to a club like this?
No.
Or a bar? Mm-hmm. So, you know, lots of bars you go in and there's just sports on every TV.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I've been in some clubs where there's just something kind of weird and random playing on the TV. It's more of a club thing than a bar thing, I guess. You know, like a hipster place. Mm-hmm. This seems like the kind of thing that you might want to put on the TV where the sound is not up. There's just music playing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
But they just want an image on the TVs to be something colorful and weird to add atmosphere. This seems like the kind of thing that would be good for that.
I found my Chitty Chitty Bang Bang note, by the way. It says, for whatever reason, I feel like this movie is very Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mr. Rogers fucked in a bowling alley in Japan, and this is their baby. Not like storyline-wise, just visually. Yeah.
Yeah, because the inventor guy is very much like Karatekas Potts in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That he thinks the inventions are going to somehow make him money to then allow him to do whatever the other thing is that he wants to do.
And then also kind of the quality of movie.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is better than this movie.
No, I mean like the quality on your TV, like how it's like fuzzy, you know, like just from the time, like when you watch a movie from like the 60s or 70s, the quality is that kind of like fuzzy quality. It's like that.
Yes. Well, I think I have a restored HD version of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's probably a little better.
Oh, really? Yeah, not me.
I
think I got mine from the library or something.
Oh, no, I got it on Vudu, I think. You can try streaming it from my Vudu sometime, see how it looks.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, I think we've talked all we can about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just kind of feels silly to talk about. There's not really much making sense, but not in the way that we usually see things that don't make sense, where it's like, this doesn't make sense, but we're making a movie and it's acceptable. This is kind of like, it doesn't make sense, but it's for fucking 5-year-olds, so who cares? They don't give a shit. Right. Just throw some people out there in suits and make them sing and dance, sing a lullaby, sing some fun shit. Also, there's this really cute part where, I don't know why, I just have it written down, cute part, and then bonsai in all capital letters. Do you know what that means? Do you remember that part?
The kids were yelling bonsai.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
When he won. when Daigoro won.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Very cute. Oh, and then this is the best, they just ship Goliath off to space.
Yes,
And, as he's going up in the rocket, he kind of wakes up and looks around just like, no, what? He's just strapped to the rocket. And they just shoot him right up to space.
No explanation of the the logistics of getting this kaiju body strapped to a. So I guess he's not dead. He's just unconscious, and they want to get rid of him.
He's definitely not dead because he wakes up as he's flying off.
Oh, does.
Yeah, he wakes up and he's just like, what? Which at this point, I was like, wow, the death count really is 0 in this movie. And then I was like, well, I guess the mom, but we don't even really see that. It's so silly. And not that, it's very, like I said, I kind of feel like this is like the, just the era we're in where it's like we have Gamera and then Godzilla has been kind of geared towards kids lately too. And this is just kind of like the collaboration between Toho and, what is the other company called?
Tsuburaya.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that, like, well, we have the Gamera and the Godzilla, like, oh yeah, well, we're going to put out this movie, this hilarious kid movie.
Did you notice Tsuburaya does Ultraman? They made a little Ultraman reference.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Oh, in the movie?
When the guy's hanging from the inventor guy with his magic shoes, I don't know. At one point, he's kind of hanging from the ceiling, and his niece comes in and is all embarrassed, and he's sort of kind of flying, kind of hanging, and he just puts his arms up and kind of goes, Ultraman.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I do remember that. I did also see a comment on another video that was like about the collaboration between the two companies, and someone was like, give the people what they want and just make Godzilla versus Ultraman already.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm seeing if I have any more notes. I have a note that just says wind noises. The wind noises in my headphones was driving me crazy in this movie a little bit. Yeah. Oh, I do have a note about what is it? Was it Mr. the silly guy, Mr. Kuma, was it? He when he pours the honey into Daigoro's mouth. I do have a little note about that.
They think Daigoro's dead, and he gets really emotional and grabs some of the food that they had for him, climbs up on top of him. Oh God, I'd forgotten about this. Opens up a big barrel of honey and just starts pouring it down his throat, even though he thinks he's dead.
Yeah.
He's just like, I will feed you, oh, Daigoro. And then he falls in. He falls into
his
Daigoro's
huge
mouth.
Puppet mouth.
but it doesn't kill him. He is recovered. He's bandaged up. But I guess Daigoro knew enough to cough him out and not swallow him.
That's right before Daigoro learns karate. Yeah, so glad Daigoro speaks Japanese or understands it. Oh my gosh, this is funny too. When Mr. Kuma's like dying and he screams out to his wife, he's like, Yumiko, be a great widow! Because he thinks he's gonna die.
Yes, be a great widow.
Be a great widow!
I thought that was a weird thing to say.
I thought it was so funny too. Yeah.
I was like, this guy's married?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think. Oh, so can we play the game with this movie? What is it really about? Because I have no fucking clue what this movie's about.
It's about let's see. It's about the exploitation of natural resources and how we want to just get rid of stuff that we can't use until we find it useful, and then suddenly it's important.
And then we're like, fight for us. Do the thing for us, because we're so cool.
Yeah.
We're so nice to you.
We can just, kill kaiju's parents and then expect them to save us.
It's kind of like Dr. Phil. My name's Dr. Phil, and I think you're a bitch. I'm gonna exploit all your problems for money.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah. I think it's about the human tendency to exploit everything.
Yeah.
Selfishly.
That
Because
does make
and
sense.
some of them are well intentioned. They just want to feed Daigoro for Daigoro's sake. I think the children are well intentioned.
Oh, totally.
But the rest of the society, the government and whatever, they don't get behind it until there's an explicit benefit to them.
Yeah.
There is that one character who's some kind of government official who first he's pushing to make him small, and then he's pushing to make him big because it's changing priorities. So,
Yeah, I really loved the kids in this film. That like we didn't have like a specific kid character. It was just kind of the kids as a group
just
were
a mob of kids.
Yeah, the mob of kids. And then I loved how every now and then they just like scream out something, like they'd be like the whole group like Daigoro, and it'd just be so sweet and so cute.
Well,
I loved it.
There was these title cards throughout the movie, and the kids would read them out as a group.
It's very cute.
And there was a bit where they're out fundraising and trying to shame businessmen into giving money to support Daigoro. So that was kind of funny.
Love it. It was kind of funny. I think there were definitely cute things, but I was like, yeesh, I think this is just a little bit geared towards not our typical regular kaiju audience. I feel like it's maybe geared a little bit younger, this movie. And I feel like it was just kind of like, oh, like I said, I loved certain parts of it. I loved the lullaby. I loved the music. There was 2 different times in the movie where there was like a wah, wah, wah. That was just so good. And made me laugh audibly, like out loud. There were some things that really made me laugh and that I loved in the movie. But yeah, this one was a little tough to get through, tough to stay focused, and just all around goofy.
So what are you going to rate it?
I think I'm going to give this a 3 because I did really enjoy it, but I liked it and I enjoyed it, but I just kind of feel like it, like I said, I could love this movie if I didn't understand what was going on and I was just like watching it in a different language. Like I would love to put this movie on in the background, like in my house, kind of like you said, like the bar thing where it's just like maybe like lo-fi hip hop beats over, just a picture, like just the videos of the fights or whatever. 'Cause it's just, I didn't like it. I didn't really like the storyline and stuff, but visually, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it visually. It was entertaining in certain parts, but I do think it was just kind of like a little bit, it's kind of like when you are babysitting a kid, or maybe you have a kid and they're like obsessed with the Wiggles or something that you don't particularly, but you play it every day because it's like for them or whatever. It's kind of like one of those things where like I can enjoy it, but it's definitely not something that I just like am in love with. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So 3 for me. What do you say?
2.
2?
I did not care for it. I
could see that.
Yeah. I didn't feel it was very good. And I found his hands extremely disturbing.
Yeah, his hands were very scary. It was just like gloved hands. Like gloved man hands.
They had nails on. They had like human nails on them. There's no call for that. It was upsetting.
It was upsetting. Oh, that's funny.
Okay, folks. This is a short one, I guess, but what do you want for nothing?
Yeah, and you don't have to, please, you don't have to watch this movie. If you want, just go look up that YouTube video. Like I said, it was called something like, hold on, I have it written down here. Like the dumbest kaiju movie. Let's see. The dumbest of all kaiju movies, Daigoro vs. Goliath. That in that video, it's like a 6-minute video. It has all of the good highlights that you need. You can watch it 6 minutes. You will know this movie, know what it's about. That's all you need. You don't have to go and watch this movie.
I agree. Especially since it's hard to find. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today, folks. Follow us on all the socials. Send us messages. Tell all your friends and family. Like and subscribe and all of that stuff. This is
Give us
your
some
call to
stars.
action.
Leave us a star or 2 or 5.
5, please. Leave us 5 stars. Until next time, I have been Precious D.
And I have been Honeybee.
Remember to keep calm and seek shelter in basements.
Please, don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Woohoo!
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texacato Folk Rock Punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MNFTG.